Speakers are on, our microphones are on. Okay, let's get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting for the City Council of Universal City, Texas. It is Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. I'm going to call this meeting to order now at 6:30 p.m. and call for a quorum check, please.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Goolsby.
Here.
Councilmember Maxwell.
Here.
Councilmember Najarian.
Excused.
Councilmember Shelby.
Here.
Councilmember Foley. Here.
Quorum is present. We shall proceed. Obviously, the first item we have is citizens to be heard. It's a time to provide for citizens to address council on issues or concerns. It must be informative only. I don't think anyone has signed up that I know of. Chris, would you check that?
Okay. It's loading. Oh, we have one.
Oh, we have one? Okay,
Yes.
good, fine. We'll do that and then we'll move on to our agenda item. All right, so the individual that's on this evening is Ms. Kim Eichelhart. Ma'am, please give us your name and address for the record.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Kim Eichelhart. I live at 736 Carbonell Drive. Tonight, we are celebrating a victory, not just at the polls, but a victory of the power of people coming together for a common cause, setting aside differences, and staying focused on one goal. This group is the most diverse of any that I have ever had the pleasure of working with. Young and old, Republican, Libertarian, and Democrat, affluent and poverty-stricken, disabled and able-bodied, veterans and civilians, anti-golf course, and yes, pro-golf course too. Trying to keep the peace is not easy. You used to look at me in disbelief when I first spoke before you, speaking on behalf of we that was never present. Now you know, we exist. Without this group, none of this would have been possible. Together, we have gathered 982 signatures, distributed almost 200 yard signs, addressed about 3,500 postcards, phoned over 800 landlines, brought in over $4,500 in donations, all without ever selling a barbecue plate or a raffle ticket, made a gazillion comments on social media, and last but not least, delivered 1,987 votes, 85% of the total. This victory belongs not only to these civic-minded individuals and the voters, but perhaps most importantly, to all of the heretofore marginalized people of Universal City, Texas. For anyone who would care to join us, we will be celebrating tonight at Bubba's directly following the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Does anyone else want to address council that did not sign up on the sheet? Okay, then we'll proceed to the purpose of the special meeting is tab number 8, which is to consider resolution 928. It's a resolution canvassing the vote of the November 2nd, 2021 special election and declaring its results for Proposition A. Kristen, I know you're going to make that presentation to us.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So as you all know, you had called for a special election to take place on the 2nd of November for Proposition A. Styled as follows, Proposition A, authorizing the City of Universal Cities, Texas to provide that for a person who is disabled or is 65 years of age or older, that the total amount of ad valorem taxes imposed on that homestead by the city may not be increased while it remains the residence homestead of that person or that person's spouse who is disabled or 65 years of age or older pursuant to Texas Constitution, Article 8, Section 1B. This is our first election that we held jointly with Bexar County and Guadalupe County, so that was exciting. The election was held in accordance to the election law and the Voters' Right Act, and the results were as follows. There were 2,334 total votes cast. 1,520 of those were cast during early voting. 201 absentee ballots were cast. 613 cast their ballots on election day. And the results are 1,987 votes for the proposition, 347 votes against the proposition. Proposition A carried a majority vote of 1,640. So
Okay.
this resolution just canvasses those results.
Okay, so I'll open that up for discussion. First of all, I will ask for a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Shelby, second by Councilmember Goolsby. Any discussion on this? Yes, Mr. Maxwell.
One that I have here, I'm one vote off.
Yes, sir. In your original packet, you had returns for Bear County and Guadalupe County. Bear County, since that packet, sent us the official returns, which is what you have on you. What I didn't print out was the one vote we have in Guadalupe County, and it was in favor of, but that is in your electronic packet.
That's all I have, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, having heard that, we'll just call for the vote then, please, Kristen.
All right. Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Neville?
Aye.
Councilmember Maxwell?
Aye.
Councilmember Bully?
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously, and that actually concludes our meeting for this evening, so I'll call this meeting adjourned now at 6:36 p.m. Thank you for coming, everybody. Appreciate it.
So can I ask a question? I've never done this before, so if I wanted to ask a question at another city council meeting, I would have to sign up, or do I have to send a letter, or?
No, you sign up before the meeting, ma'am, just like this evening. That's why I asked if anybody else wanted to address council.
Okay.
Yeah, without signing up. It's just simple, when you come into the meeting,
Okay.
you can sign up. If you want to address council, you have that right to do that. We welcome that opportunity.
But
to hear
Point of
you.
clarification, it's not to ask questions, it's to provide comment and information to the council.
You can ask a question if through citizens to be heard, but then we can't answer it because it's not an agenda item. You can make a comment, which is perfectly fine, and we appreciate that, and encourage it.
Well,
It's okay. Let's talk offline because the
Okay.
meeting is actually
All right, thank
adjourned
you.
right now. We'd be
Thank
glad to talk to you offline, for sure.
And so when can questions be asked that we can expect an answer? You said that we can ask them, but you can't answer them. Is there a time frame where there can be an actual discussion?
During the council meeting, if it's an agendized item, the answer is yes. If it's not an agendized item, the answer is no, we can't. The law does not permit us to do that.
I understand that. Is there a time that we can ask questions?
Could I interject? I think what he's saying is that you have the right to speak, give them the comments, and then after you get the comments, then probably at the next meeting or whatever, they'll let you know when you can come back and they're gonna answer your question. Is that correct?
That's pretty close, Archie. Just think of this. We welcome your comments and we listen to your comments, and because of the fact that we don't meet before these, we don't have the opportunity with each other, we can react in terms of listening to you and then maybe approach staff and say, let's look into this issue. Okay? We can't answer your question directly that night. That is not, the law does not permit us to do that. But can we take a look at it in the future? The answer is yes.
And their emails and direct phone numbers are posted on the website also, so you're welcome to reach out to them on a one-on-one.
So if it's an agenda item, then that's when the questions happen.
If it's an agendized item, that's the time that would, especially if we have a meeting, a public hearing, that's the chance for you to ask those questions.
But they can't answer them in the citizens to be heard portion of the meeting, but once that item gets onto the agenda, they can answer those questions in their remarks, but it can't be a back and forth.
Personally, face-to-face, without an agendized item, unfortunately, but the law does not permit us to do that at all. That's the law, the way it's written. If you have a situation with that, then we have to work with our Texas legislature, because they're the ones that make those laws that we have to live by. Sometimes we're not.
So unless we can get an item on the agenda, any question we may have would have to be done one-on-one, and then we're only getting the answer from that one person's perspective. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say.
Well, if we can't ask a question and expect an answer back for something that's not on the agenda, then we either have to know how to get an item on the agenda to get it discussed, or we can contact one of the council members one-on-one, email, whatever the case may be, but then whatever response we get, that's not gonna be a council response, it's gonna be that one person's opinion or perspective of it.
I think the follow-on question is, how do you get something on the agenda?
That was gonna be my next question.
The agenda is only at the discretion of the mayor.
Here's the mayor.
If there's an item that a
Mayor?
citizen strongly believes should be an agenda, an item that goes on the agenda, then they can approach me. And I will make that decision. Remember, we make decisions for the entire city. And if it's, and if it's an item we think is pertinent to the operations of our city, then we will definitely consider it. There's no question about that.
But don't the rules for council written back in 1987 say that one council member can put an item on the agenda? If it's about a.
Council members can have input to the agenda, absolutely.
But it still goes through the mayor. So the council members can ask for a consensus. An individual can ask for a consensus from their other members to have it placed on the agenda. If they get a general consensus, then the mayor can say, place it on whatever agenda or give a date for it to be on there. But again, it's still at the discretion of the council members and ultimately at the discretion of the mayor.
So when that whole sidewalk discussion took place, how did that get on the agenda?
You know what? We're really kind of way off base here, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. We have one agendized item, and I really appreciate you coming to but we really shouldn't continue with this discussion. It'd be nice if we could do all this.
Congratulations.
If the room may Got that one down. Yes,
I was going to say, I really appreciate it.
Come to our council meetings and address your.
We appreciate you both.